Wow. Perfect topic for some of
Okay.
us in this room.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Today we will have a discussion about our daily problem. Maybe it's about overthinking. Okay. Let's go to the agenda. Okay. Today I will have the simply and brief discussion guidance, and then each panelist will give their opinion about the overthinking definition and the countermeasure, and then we will have a question how we can overcome the overthinking in student life. And the last, we will have a closing statement. So after discussion, each panelist will explain about the closing statement in brief statement, and the last one, reflection about this session. And this is the panelists. We can see there is Julia, and then Jason, and then Mijung. Unfortunately, she is absent, and the last one, Z. So during this session, as I explained, like we will have brief explanation or definition about the overthinking and how is the countermeasure. And the second one, discussion about in specific time in the student life. And the last one, closing statement by each panelist about the discussion. Okay, can we start to the first part about the uh, panelist opinion about the overthinking definition and countermeasure. Okay, we can start from the Julia and then Jason and then Z. Okay, let's start from Julia. How is your opinion about the overthinking?
Hey, good morning once again. So to me, overthinking, I'd say just thinking too much about things that maybe don't deserve that much time. For example, I overthink about my final projects a lot. So it takes me actually more time to think whether this project is good or bad rather than implementing the project itself. So I'd say it's just thinking too much about too many things that maybe don't deserve that much time.
Okay,
That's it.
yeah, okay. The next, Jason.
I would define overthinking as well, sometimes you do need to overthink because you need to think about the problem from all angles, but then, and you need to think long term as well to make a good choice. However, if you think too much that you're worrying and, you know, imagining things that are unlikely to happen, then I think that can be, you know, damaging. Yeah, and I think a countermeasure would be to write down all your pros and cons and to kind of, you know, weigh your choices. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jason. And what about Z?
So for me, overthinking is actually just thinking too much. But when you think too much instead of acting or doing things, you may be overthinking. And when you just cannot stop thinking about something happened in the past or on the problem, and you're just thinking, and you don't go to find a solution. So I think this is my definition of the thinking.
Okay, thank you. What about you, Jacob? Do you have any comment about the overthinking? Maybe your experience?
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that, and I think that by definition, just the fact that the word has over in it means that you are thinking over the limit that is necessary. So the difference between thinking through or thorough thinking. And overthinking is if you're thinking things through, you're taking the necessary measures or necessary steps to think about an issue that needs the thinking. But the moment you overthink is when you're actually becoming your own barricade. And countermeasures. What in my experience, when I tend to overthink, I'm a thinker, so I tend to overthink a lot of things. I think a lot about a lot. And when I'm thinking about things that require action, I don't know, I just tell myself when I start thinking, instead of thinking, just do it, just jump, like bungee jumping, which is why bungee jumping is one of my favorite things to do because it's really scary. And if you start thinking about it, now you start regretting why you even chose, why you paid that much money to get up there, and why am I jumping off and trying to kill myself? But you just jump, count to 3 and just jump. It's worked well for me so far, except in choosing a marriage partner. And that is why, yeah, that's the most difficult part. And I have no answer in that area.
Okay, thank you, Jacob. Okay, now we go to the discussion about student life. Yeah. Okay, so I think like in every student will have this problem. So especially for a student who maybe more than 2 semester, maybe will have some experience how to overcome the overthinking. So how want to give the opinion or how to overcome overthinking during the student life? Okay, anyone? Yeah, okay, can you
I
start?
can.
Okay, Z.
Yes. Okay. So personally, I tend to overthink all every night. I cannot sleep, and I overthink things. So, when I am overthinking, uh, would I usually watch. I usually just jumped out of my bed and watch movies and listen to music. So this is my approach to overcome overthinking. But I don't know whether it is effective because I also cannot get a sleep. So this is my method.
So by watching movie and then listening to music or that's
I will
good.
be yes, but after I watching movies, I will be more energetic. I will be
Yeah.
more excited. So I don't know whether it's effective, but this is my method.
Yeah. But what kind of movie? Because I think
Some
if a sad movie, it will be more worse, I think.
I usually watch some like romantic and some like sad movies and tragic movies. So I don't know. I usually go to bed at like 2 a.m. But I fall asleep at like 6 a.m. So I don't know.
Okay, thank you for your sharing. Okay, another one, maybe Julia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I missed that part in the first question. I'm sorry. So, overthinking student life. I think to me it's connected with the perfectionism when you want everything to be perfect. So you tend to overthink. Like, is it good enough? Is the main question. And in student life, especially in graduate school, we have a lot of research projects. So I spent the last night working on 2 of them. So there's a lot to overthink. So to me, I found this saying recently. It goes like better done than perfect. So I have it written here on my
Yeah.
in front of my computer. So yeah, I try to do that, try to stick to that. It works sometimes, sometimes it doesn't.
Any, what about like go outside or something?
I don't think it's possible because every time when I start to overthink, if I go every time I start to overthink, I just spend my whole life outside, I guess. So to me, it doesn't work. But I like G's method. Maybe I should try watching a movie or something. Thank you,
Okay.
G.
Okay, Jason, what is your
Um,
opinion?
I think it's for all the lectures. I think the professors wants the students to overthink so that they are working more tirelessly. But I think sometimes it's good to overthink in terms of your future once you're like thinking outside of like once you graduate and go into the job market. I mean, but rather than I think the overthinking, I think it's better to talk to lots of people in various professions, maybe, to kind of overcome that, um, worries about what to do after you graduate. But I think overthinking is just part of being a student, really. It's not something that we need to overcome. But I can say that because I have no trouble, like, sleeping. Like, even though I have lots of, like, projects and so on, if I'm tired, I just, do that. So maybe that's why I can say that. But yeah, for me, that's how it is. Yeah.
Okay. So I think every person have a different method to overcome the overthinking. Uh, what about you, Jacken? Any additional insight for the student life? How to overcome a kind of assignment, maybe something?
Well, it's seeing as how it's been over a decade since I was a student, and I've only gotten to bachelor's, and I spent most of my bachelor's without thinking. Maybe that was a problem. Uh, so I don't know, but if we're talking about being a student of life, not necessarily limited to academia, uh, yeah, this is hard because as someone who likes to analyze and think things through, it gets to a point where I get into a stalemate and I can't seem to progress, which is why I can also be a very chronic procrastinator, trying to do things perfect, and I exhaust myself just thinking about it in the process, and I just keep putting it off until the last minute. To me, I guess a deadline is the best way to overcome overthinking, because if an assignment is due next month, I'll think about it, I'll try to make it perfect, I'll exhaust myself, I'll put it off and start doing other things, usually cleaning my room or reading books I never read before. But then if the deadline is tomorrow, my productivity spikes. So I think a deadline, an imminent deadline, is the best way to overcome, if that at all is a solution.
Okay, thank you for your opinion, Jason. Jikan, sorry. So we can set like a priority about the deadline, which to be finished first, and then next one and the next one. Okay, so after explanation about your definition and then your way to overcome overthinking in student life. Now, I will go to the next part, like what is your closing statement, or maybe one or two sentence about the conclusion. Okay, uh, It can be. Hey,
Hello.
Jung. Hello, Jung.
Sorry. I'm
Oh,
really sorry.
okay, okay. So, okay. So we will hear about the Mijung's opinion first before we go to the next part. So Mijung, today we talk about the definition and the countermeasure of overthinking. So we want to know how you to overcome the overthinking, especially for student life.
Overthinking.
Yeah.
Um. So is it something like think too much? Oh, right. Um, I think that overthinking in student life is not that good because like for the students they have to study for most of the time to like choose their major or choose their job. Anyway, they have to study. But if the students think too much, then they just think, then it's like, and not decide. And it I think that's not a good idea because they have, all they have to do is like study or decide what to do. So how to overcome the overthinking? Maybe they have to just they have to decide quickly what to do. That's, I think, the solution for the overthinking in their life.
Okay. Thank you. So we have to set priority first to overcome the overthinking. Okay, so we go to the next part. This is the closing statement. Who want to be the first? I think Jason. Only brief statement about this discussion.
I think don't overthink, but just put it into action, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So action. Noted.
And don't waste time worrying. Yeah, just to add.
Okay. And then Zulia.
I have a T-shirt. It says "Overthinking will ruin you." So I guess just remember that.
Okay. Good. Good to be remembered. And then Z.
For me, I think it should be find something to do. Find some things to do. Like yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then Mijang, what is your closing statement?
Well, I think I'm same as what Jason said because I think like overthinking. Well, they shouldn't think too much. They have to take action, decide quickly.
Okay. Thank you. We go to the last part. That is a reflection. So if anyone wants to share about opinion about this session, 1 minute remaining. Anyone want to give a reflection or comment or opinion about this session?
I'll just do it.
Okay,
So I'd
Julia.
like to thank you for your discussion. You did well, and the topic is interesting to me at least because that's the problem that I tried to solve. So I think it's a very relevant topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Any others? Okay. No? Okay.
I just like to say,
Yeah.
oh, we got 8 seconds. Thank you for giving me a chance to speak.
Yeah. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you all, and see you.